Shimelle Laine, and I'm here with a new edition of Sketch to Scrapbook page. And today I want to show you a little bit of a different take on a sketch, because normally in Sketch to Scrapbook page videos I stay really close to the sketch design and I don't make too many big changes. And I'm not going to make what might be considered big changes in this case, but I am going to take something on the sketch and change it to something different than what I originally saw when I looked at the design. So it's a single photo design, although you could use this space to include more photos if you printed them at a smaller size, or maybe just stretch this out to be a little bit bigger. But I'm using one 4x6 portrait photo, and then a sheet of 12 by 12 in the background, and then a smaller mat here. Now I'm using all my products from the March edition of Best of Both Worlds. I'm using this yellow heart print from Dear Lizzie Lucky Charm and the turquoise and blue chevron from Maggie Holmes for Crate Paper. This chevron strip is the branding strip from one of the other papers in the kit, the pink camera print that's gray on one side as well. It has this aqua chevron, and then these stickers are from the Dear Lizzie sticker book, and I've just torn them out so that I'll be able to move them around the page as I go. So that's kind of where I'm starting. And when I drew this sketch and when I imagined it in my mind, I thought I would be going through and taking paper triangles and layering them up. And I imagined this as all different patterns, maybe perfect for the end of a kit when you have lots of small pieces left, but this is the second layout I've made from the kit, so I don't have lots of small pieces at this point, and I'm just a little bit lenient, or a little bit wary of the idea of cutting into lots of small pieces when I know that I want to get as many backgrounds out of the kit as well. So I decided I would take it in a little bit of a different direction when I started in with this chevron print, and I thought that I could use things that were pointing, design elements that pointed toward the photo instead of specifically paper triangles. So I have this chevron or arrow printed strip that I can cut into different pieces. I also have the tape in this month's kit, which is a chevron or an arrow print, and I have some triangle and chevron pieces in the wood veneers. So I'm thinking I can make it all come together with those pieces and not cutting triangles, and maybe at the end of this month I'll be able to go back and try something with paper triangles. And there is a sketch guest today who has used it with paper triangles, so if you are interested in how that idea would look, you'll be able to see that on my blog as well. That's at shimelle.com. So I've cut this box to be the photo mat to 6.5 by 9 inches, and I think I'll put it this way, and I just want to use that as this large box on the paper that where pretty much it's going to hold everything that's important, and then just these strips of embellishment are going to come off of that box. So since that's 6.5 tall, my photo should fit nicely here on the side. And that's a picture of the fireworks at the Olympic Stadium at the end of the games. And then I want to take these strips and see if I can emulate the look of the triangles on the sketch. So still facing the same direction with the pointing, still in the same places, but instead of paper triangles, I'm going to be using the tape and this patterned paper edge. So I need to cut the longest piece first and see if that will fit. And I think what I'll do is cut the paper so it keeps this point, and that way I'm not wasting anything. And then one at the top, and one at the bottom of the page as well. Then I think I will also add in the tape, and normally I just tear tape or I wrap it around to the other side, but I think I'll make it match, so I'll go ahead and cut along the pattern. Just the same idea here as with the paper. So now I have my 3 different streams coming off this photo or pointing in toward the photo. Same sort of concept, but just a different execution. I'm using strips instead of triangles. And now to build a little bit more embellishment into the page. Because I didn't have the embellishment of all these different patterns, I think there's a little bit more room for adding something a bit more. So I'm going to start in with some stickers, and I wanted to just kind of build these up. The star pattern stickers in the Lucky Charm collection I think are really nice for all sorts of different nighttime photos. You don't specifically have to be able to see the stars. Just the idea of being outdoors and not during the day, I think, is enough to make it work. So I'm just stacking these up, trying to decide if I like this separate or together. Originally I was going to separate it, but there's not a white edge at the top of this red sticker, and there is at the bottom of the blue, so I think I actually like them together more than separate. So just leave that as all one big piece there. That's fine. And then I thought I could actually bring in some triangles up here at the top. And there are some different triangle type pieces in the wood veneers. So maybe 3 of them together would be good if I have 3 of all the same. So just try a few different things and see what fits best. So there's the larger outline. That would take it all the way up to the top of the box. Or the smaller one would fit right in line. So I think I'll do this smaller, and maybe in a row of 3 might work. Let's see. Yeah, and that kind of gives a similar type of embellishment that came to mind when I looked at the sketch or when I planned it, but just taking that motif and using it somewhere else. And of course it wouldn't have to be on this page. If this sketch doesn't suit because you need more photos or anything like that, you could always take that idea of triangles forming a line that points towards something important on the page and move it into any other page design that you like, any other type of embellishment or the placement of a border. You could just use the triangles there. Okay, so now I need to figure out my writing and my title and maybe a little bit of subtitle work there too. So I'll figure that step out next. Between the sketch and knowing what design concepts I'm repeating throughout the album that this page goes into, adding the title and the subtitle were really, really easy because in this particular book, this is all going in my album that's just about the Olympics, and on all of those pages I've used turquoise somewhere, and quite often these turquoise glitter thickers, not exclusively those, but quite often. And on every page somewhere it says London 2012 or 2012 or something like that. And so I went ahead and just followed the placement of the sketch for the title and the subtitle and used those 2 elements that I know repeat. And that way I know, even though the colors are different for every page in the album, when I put this in, there will be some sort of unifying theme that pulls it all together. So those are both from the kit shopping list. And then it gives me this space here for my writing. And I started to think maybe I could write right on top of this, but I'm a little worried that it will be hard to read. This pattern's quite dark, and it may just not balance quite perfectly because there are some brighter elements surrounding it. So I had a look in the kit for another idea, and this 4x6 journaling card is from the Dear Lizzie 12x12 cut apart sheet. And I like the idea of using just part of it to fit in this gap here and add my writing. So I'm just going to mark the spot where I'm going to trim it down, and then I can fill in the writing and deal with this edge that's going to look a little bit, well, it's going to look like the card is cut off because it's not going to have a frame on that side. So I need to add a little bit of some sort of design concept to make that work. To dress up that edge that doesn't have the red frame, I just used one of the stamps from this Amy Tangerine stamp set. It's this double line of crosses that look a bit like nice thick cross-stitch stitches, but I just used one line and then repeated it because it's a clear stamp so I can easily line it up. Now I did it in black ink, and as I was stamping realized I might have been better off to do it in a navy blue or something to make it match, but it was a little too late by the time I had that thought. So it's okay in black since the writing is in black as well, but it is a little bit heavier perhaps than what I might have added if I had thought that through a little bit before. Then I just added another sticker from the Dear Lizzie sticker book to the top of this box to bring in that bit of yellow from the background, and it has all the different colors that are represented in other pieces, and just put that on pop dots to give it a little bit of dimension. And then had this idea as I was looking at the sketch and the layout that I could go back and bring in that triangle motif again by layering up the wood veneer triangles from the kit. So I haven't adhered these because I'm not quite convinced, but I wanted to show you in case it was a look that you liked, that you could. There's enough in the pack that you could do 3 solid triangles, and I have a few more left in different sizes and things like that to go along with those lines. A little bit of a different look, but take them away so you can see the page without as well. I do like the idea of adding something else to each of these, a little bit more embellishment, but I'm not convinced that for this particular layout the wood veneer is the right way to go. So I think I will set that aside this time, but I wanted to show you just in case it was something that would work really well for your page. And I'm just going to look for something a bit small and has a little bit of movement. Everything is very square here, so I feel like I should do something with some curves, which may mean that I'm back to baker's twine, which seems to be what I've been using lately to add in some movement to the page. But I'll have a quick look and see what I can find. If it's not in the kit, then I'll try and keep it to something pretty standard so that there's a good chance that you'll have it to hand. Okay, I did find something that would work to dress up these little strips, and it's a little bit outside the kit, but probably not something that's too difficult. So I did go with some baker's twine to add a little bit of movement to all the straight lines, and then I had these little star pieces from another yellow pattern paper. They were just sat in this bowl where I'd cut them out with the silhouette and used the negative, and I had all these little star shapes, and I just tucked them aside waiting for the perfect project, and it struck me that perhaps this would be a good spot. And then instead of using, I at first thought brads or enamel dots, and then realized I didn't need to go that far away. I could just use the punctuation from the thickers. I still have plenty more dots that I can use, so I used 9, 3 on each strip to make a little triangle, then added the star on a pop dot in the middle of that triangle somewhere. And then for the baker's twine, I just cut a strip and ran my normal dotted adhesive along the line, and then just loop so that you get some natural little curls, and then tack it onto the layout with that adhesive. Spray adhesive also works really well if you want to do curls of baker's twine and not have to staple it or anything to the page, but you'll need some ventilation for that, and that is not something I have here today. So dotted adhesive it is, which is just a little bit tackier on your fingers as you place it down on the layout, but it should work. So that's where I'm going to call this one finished today, and you can have a look at my blog at shimelle.com, and you can see not only just the sketch and a still picture of this, but also the interpretation by Piradee Talvanna, which includes the actual paper triangles that I first imagined. So I hope that's useful. Thanks so much for watching.